Hi there everybody, Ollie here, aka Secret Nimbus here with another episode of Magic Duels Origins. So for today's Friday Night Magic deck tech and gameplay, I'm going to be playing with a blue-black Eldrazi control deck. Now I've wanted to play a control deck for a little while, and wasn't really sure about the number of cards I had, but over Christmas I decided to do something a little bit silly, spend a little bit of real world money and buy some gold just to help me finish the collection. So I'm literally 2 packs shy of finishing the collection now, which is pretty cool. So I should be able to get that finished and then start working towards saving up gold for the Oath of the Gatewatch expansion whenever that's due out, probably in a month or two's time. So if I can start saving up towards 12,000 gold for Oath of the Gatewatch, that would be fantastic. But let's start going through the deck for today's gameplay. So to start off with, we've got Salvage Drone. So this is just a quick 1-drop, 1 blue 1-drop with the ability to ingest, which is key for some of the Eldrazi abilities later on. Also, it's got the ability when if it dies, I can also draw a card, which is pretty useful as well. I do have to discard a card, but that's not usually a problem. Mist Intruder is the 2-drop Eldrazi with ingest. So these two cards are basically there to just put cards into the exile pile, which are useful for some of the Eldrazi creatures later on. Again, Horrible Array is another card which puts cards into exile, but does this by countering them. So it's devoid, so it has no colour. I'm not really sure if that really has a use in terms of the actual spell itself, but mostly it's it counts as a spell with mana cost 4 or less, so it's good against like low cost creatures, and then you also get to exile that card as well. We've got Reeve Soul to destroy kind of small power creatures early on. It's particularly useful against aggressive decks. Got Race to Strangers. This is the first of the Eldrazi control cards, so I can put this onto the battlefield, and when I do so, I may exile a card, put a card from my opponent's exile pile into their graveyard, and if I do so, target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn, so it's useful for kind of like killing creatures. Sphinx's Tutelage is one of the win conditions of this deck, so milling an opponent down. So basically what we're doing with creatures like Wasteland Strangler, with our Reeve Soul, with our Horrible Array, it's basically just to stall out the game long enough to drop down a Sphinx's Tutelage, or both of them potentially, and then mill down our opponent, which is quite cool. So the first of our 3-mana counter spells, so this is the first of our hard counters. This can counter absolutely anything, which is Scattered to the Winds. 2 copies of them available for us in the particular format, owing to it being a rare. We can also Awaken a land as well if we so choose, and then yeah, we can just counter any spell we want. The next 3-mana counter is Spell Shrivel, so we can counter target spell unless its controller plays 4. So against something like Ulamog, where they're likely to drop it on turn 10, where they've played all 10 of their mana to potentially play Ulamog, we can counter it. They can't pay the 4 mana to keep it on the board. It gets exiled. Fantastic. That's exactly what we want to do. So it's just a nice control spell. It's good for early game. It's good for very late game when they're potentially playing big drops and using up all their mana to do so. Got Complete Disregard. So this is similar to what's the one I'm looking for? Reeve Soul, in which you can only take out a creature with power 3 or less, but instead of destroying them, it exiles them. So it's good for putting more cards into the exile pile. Mercstrider is another one of our Eldrazi control cards, so we can play this, and providing we put a card from exile into a player's graveyard, we may return target creature to its owner's hand. So it's good for bouncing back big spells, big creatures, or creatures that are very annoying, and then countering them later on with something like Spell Shrivel. We then got Ulamog's Nullifier, which is another one of our Eldrazi control cards. So this is a card which can counter a spell, so we can flash it in. It's also got flying as well, so potentially we can go over an opponent's head with it. And when we put two cards from opponent's exile pile into their graveyards, we may counter target spell, which is pretty useful. Got Inspiration. There's some card draw. Just I prefer this over some of the other card draw with 2 cards, mostly because it's an instant, so I can play it whenever I want. We've got Languish to board wipe, Ulamog's Reclaimer to bring back a target instant or sorcery card from our graveyard, providing we put a card from exile into that player's graveyard. Flesh to Dust, it's a nice destroy spell. It's basically a toss-up between this and, if we go to black, it's a toss-up between this and the other 5-mana destroy spell. Where is it? Cruel Revival. Except, you know, this has the benefit of, it doesn't really matter which one you do. I suppose this one might actually be better, simply because it only costs 1 black mana, but most of the time we're going to have 2 black mana anyway, so it didn't really matter either way which one we played. They're both instants. The only benefit of this one over this one is that you can bring back a zombie. We have no zombies in this deck, so I thought it doesn't really matter too much anyway. Got Necromantic Summons, a potential other win condition of this deck, so we can potentially look into an opponent's graveyard and bring back their biggest creature with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. We've also got utilises, so another win condition. We can use it to draw cards, we can use it to destroy target creatures, and we can also get utilises' emblem, which is target opponent gains an emblem where whenever they draw a card, they lose 2 life, so potentially use them to slowly strangle our opponent to death. And then finally, the other mythic rare card in this deck is the Sire of Stagnation. So this is a kind of a fairly big Eldrazi. It's fairly expensive, it's 6 mana, so the most expensive card in the deck. But with this one, basically whenever an opponent plays a land, so if you can play this one against a ramp deck in particular, they're not going to want to play any more lands, because basically what happens is that they exile the top 2 cards of their library, so they essentially mill themselves, and I get to draw 2 cards as well, so I get like a 4-card advantage over my opponent. In terms of the mana base, we've got the 9 islands, the 6 swamps, 2 sunken hollows, 2 drowned catacombs, 2 mortuary mires, and 3 Dimir guild gates. So that's the deck. Let's go play some games, guys. Okay guys, here we are for game number 1. I believe we're playing a rank 39, which could be interesting, but I'm going to keep this hand as we've got 2 counter spells and a Wasteland Strangler, so it looks pretty good to me. Yeah, we're playing the rank 39 Hexabin, so I think we shall start off with probably just the island and the swamp, mostly because we can then play both of these untapped if we do so. So we've got all the mana that we need. We're only missing like one mana really, so hopefully we can draw into a mana in the next kind of turn or 2. But we do have the 2 counter spells, which is quite nice as well. Okay, we've actually managed to find a Dimir Guildgate, which we will play this turn, just because you know, we're not doing anything this turn anyway, and I'd rather play the one which is going to come in tapped regardless now, while I'm not doing anything else. Okay, so we're playing blue-green, so Simic at the moment. Another Dimir Guildgate, interesting. I'm going to play you now, mostly because my opponent hasn't actually done anything yet, so I'm not really in a hurry to do anything. Although maybe it would have been better to play the swamp there. I don't know. And save the Dimir Guildgate till later. So he's played a Rootbound Crag. This is Pilgrimage. Don't really care too much for that anyway. So okay, so we're playing green, blue, red. Potentially ramp. I don't know. Can't really tell here. Okay, we found utilises, which is interesting. So we've got nothing to play here. So we could potentially either Scatter to the Winds or Spell Shrivel here. So this only puts a 3/3 land on the battlefield, which is okay, but so do we want to counter that? Potentially yes, I think. Just because he's going to allow him to ramp up every turn guaranteed. And so I'm going to Spell Shrivel this. Save the Scatter to the Winds for later. Just because it's going to allow him to ramp up every turn, and he can then use it to find something like Ulamog guaranteed, so I'd rather not give him that opportunity. Okay, we found Ulamog's Nullifier, not the most useful card right now, mostly due to the fact that, what's the word I'm looking for? I only have only one card in exile, but we're going to draw a card and lose a life, so we find another mana, which is, that's okay. So yeah, this isn't the most useful counterspell right now. We could do with putting some more cards into my opponent's exile pile. Okay, so he's found Kiora, Master of the Depths. He's got his own Planeswalker. So it's utilises versus Kiora. So he's looking for a creature card. So, oh my god, he's found Ulamog. So what's he found? So I'm going to put a creature card and our land card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. So I'm guessing that he's going to put Ulamog. Yeah, he's put Ulamog into his hand. So I really want to keep open Scatter to the Winds right now. Okay, so we found Mortuary Mire, which is okay. So we're going to draw a card and lose a life, which is fine. We're finding more mana. Interesting. But we want to save open Scatter for the Winds for Ulamog, really, for later on. Anything else is kind of like superfluous at the moment. So we'll see most fine. This is renewal. So search your library for 3 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Okay, so he's basically ramping up for Ulamog here. So I'm guessing he's almost there actually. So I'm glad we've got Scatter for the Winds open right now, so we can untap a land here. So that's him done for the turn. Okay, we found Languish as well, which could be useful. We'll play the Sunken Hollow. We shall draw a card and lose a life. And we managed to find a Horrible Array as well. So So potentially put a second card into a discard pile, the exile pile for Ulamog's Nullifier later on. But we do have Scatter the Winds here to counter Ulamog in a second. So he's got 10 mana here, so I'm expecting Ulamog to come down. We've got a counter spell ready. Okay, so found Guy's Revenge, which is kind of terrifying because, you know, I can't actually kill it. So Cure's almost dead. So I'm expecting Ulamog here, like almost for certain. We do have Scatter for the Winds for that. Nope, he's playing Guy's Revenge. Oh, that is just bad news bears for me because I can't cancel that. And he's probably about to kill Obnixilis because of it. Just as I was about to get the token as well. Well, that's a bit sad, Panda. So goodbye, Obnixilis. It was nice knowing you. Yeah, this is kind of bad news for me because I can't really do anything about this. So I could counter that, but there's not really much point. Have you retreat to Kazandu. And he's going to trigger it straight away. I'm guessing he's going to put... oh my god, he's going to put a +1/+1 counter on that. So, I mean, I could destroy this. We could return it... No, I can't even target it with his owner's hands. So... I don't really know what to do here. I mean, this is pretty much like game over for us. Like, Guy's Revenge is like the ultimate bad news for... this kind of deck. It's just bad. It's just if he can play a Guy's Revenge, I'm kind of out of ideas here. So I don't know what to play here because I want to keep open Scatter the Winds for Ulamog, but I need some way of like getting rid of this. So I almost need to just like play Wasteland Strangler. Don't really care about his -3/-3 right now, and then save open Scatter and use it as a blocker against that one potentially. I don't know. Play it. But what's really annoying is that we haven't actually managed to find our... Oh yeah, I don't have to choose a card to get +-3/-3 there. That was terrifying me there for a second, but so I'm guessing he may decide to try and play Ulamog this turn, unless he knows that I've got counter spells. Yeah, because he knows I've got like Spell Shrivel, so he's got to assume that he's... So Radiant Flames. Do I counter that? So it's going to deal X damage to each creature, X number of... I might have to let that go through. Destroy my creature and take the 9 damage. It's really annoying that I can't get rid of Guy's Revenge. Language just isn't quite enough. It's why it's a really annoying card for this format. It's just out of range for all of these... for the black removal spells. And I can't destroy it with anything else because it can't be the target of spells or abilities either. So, okay, so he's playing Flame Shadow Evermore Hellion. Okay, so it's like I could almost do a double Languish if I had it, but I don't. There's not really much I can do here, I'll be honest. I mean, I could play Merc Strider and bounce back Guy's Revenge. Would probably be like the only way to kind of like stall out a bit longer. Still got Scatter to the Winds here, so... Oh, it can't be targeted, can it? Oh my god, yes, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, this has been a kind of a very frustrating game, mostly because of Guy's Revenge, because I can't really do anything about that. It's a really frustrating card for him to find. In this kind of deck, I'm not really sure if there's any kind of like spell that I could play to actually sort that out, really. And he's playing Ulamog, so this is where we're going to do Scatter to the Winds you. So you still get to destroy it? Is that when it comes into play when you cast Ulamog? Oh my god, so he can just destroy it. Yeah, that's game over. Well, that's frustrating for a first game, but Guy's Revenge kind of screwed me over a bit there, if I'm going to be honest. So yeah, GG to him there. So we'll take that loss and we'll move on to game number 2, guys. Okay guys, here we are for game number 2. We're playing like Zoltan or something like that. He's a rank 28. We definitely cannot keep that hand, whereas this hand we want to keep because of the Sphinx's tutelage. Yeah, I feel as if we got the Sphinx's tutelage earlier on in that game, we might have stood a better chance, but yeah. So yeah, we're playing Zalterton, he's rank 28. So we want to deploy the Sphinx's tutelage as fast as possible. We've got Flesh to Dust, Horrible Awry, and Wasteland Strangler to kind of stall out our opponent as well. So he's playing a fat stack, I've just realised. Got 70 cards in this deck, which is kind of crazy, if I do say so myself. Ooh, we've actually managed to find Salvage Drone, so he will be played now. Synergizes up quite well with Sphinx's tutelage, is when it dies, it allows me to draw a card. Okay, so he's playing Fiery Impulse now, which is kind of annoying for me, but yeah, I use his ability. Do I want to keep... I'd like to keep Languish, I think, so what do we throw away? Flesh to Dust, I think, just because it's probably the least useful here. If we're playing like a red aggro deck, then I want Languish to kind of stall out the opponent, especially if we've got Sphinx's tutelage online as well. Yeah, looks like we're playing red aggro, which hasn't actually played any aggro cards, which is interesting. Oh, excellent, we've got both Sphinx's tutelages in play. So this is pretty much game over for my opponent. I mean, he's playing a fat stack, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, it almost would have been nice in that last game if we got the Sire of Stagnation as well, but we just didn't find any of the cards that we needed to kind of stall my opponent out that much. Or he just got very, very lucky with his draws, I suppose. But yeah, I'll give it to that. Guy's Revenge is an incredibly good card, very good value, especially against control. Like, I can't believe that it can't be countered, can't be targeted, all that jazz, and it's just... And it's got haste. It's just completely insane, and it's out of the range of Languish. I mean, like any of those like 3 tweaked down a bit is just would be fine to deal with, but unfortunately it is. So yeah, we got double Sphinx's tutelage online here, so I don't really think my opponent has much that he can do here. What have I been milling so far? Yeah, it's looking like an aggro deck, but he's got nothing to play, which is kind of bizarre. We've got Horrible Awry, which we can play if he actually decides to play a creature. So we've got Rogue's Passage now as well. Embermore Hellion we can't do anything about. She's kind of frustrating. We couldn't even counter it either. So we're going to double mill, and all we're finding is mana as well, which is even worse. Really wish I kept that Flesh to Dust now. So I might play Mortuary Mire here, bring back my Salvage Drone. And then I can't even Languish, so I might just have to Wasteland Strangler here. Just play it as a blocker maybe, potentially. Gotta hope that we can mill him down before this thing gets too crazy. You can make it unblockable as well with the Rogue's Passage, which is even more insane. Yeah, I think what we need to do now is essentially just mill our opponent down as fast as possible by activating Sphinx's tutelage every morning. We're on a 5-turn counter from the Embermore Hellion, so at the moment we just kind of... I think we just take it. We take it like a man and see if we find anything else to destroy it, such as maybe bringing back Flesh to Dust or one of our other kill spells. So, oh my god, I can't even counter that because I've only got a creature counter. Wow. I should have played that, really. Yeah, note to self, don't play anything in future because he could just act for treason it. Yeah, Horrible Awry was not a useful counterspell here right now. So we take quite a bit of damage there. We're down to 13, so we're on a 3-4 turn counter still, providing he doesn't have any more acts of treason, of course. Okay, so at least we've got Salvage Drone to potentially block one in future. So even if he were to take one of my creatures now, I can at least Salvage Drone it. So we'll play you, and I think we're just going to activate Sphinx's tutelage as well, which allows us to mill him down twice more. So yeah, we can toss you away. So if he's playing red, then potentially we could mill him down very, very fast once we've got rid of all the lands in his deck. Look at that. That was a huge mill there. So he's going to Fiery Impulse that one, I'm guessing? No, that one. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder what he's going to play here, because we've got a Languish to potentially destroy any other creatures he might play. I'm just wondering what he's got, because he's got like a massive fat stack here, just full of like very aggressive red creatures. Okay, we've got Ember, what is it? Ember Hauler? That's the one. What I almost need is one of my destroy spells that can target a creature with like -3/-3. That could potentially be very bad for him, because I'm going to use it to draw a card. So I've got Reave Soul, that's exactly what I want. So what I can now do is Languish and Reave Soul this 4/5. So I'm going to take 4 damage this turn, go down to 7, but I can kill this thing next turn, which is pretty useful. So he's going to take me down to 7, which is fine. But at least I can kill this one now, which is good. So we mill him down twice more. I'm going to keep this island in case I need to activate Sphinx's tutelage as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to Languish. Make sure we keep a black mana open. Oopsie daisy, there we go. So we can Reave Soul afterwards. So it's going to kill you, and then what I can then do afterwards is Reave Soul you. Because you're now down to a creature of mine less than 3 attack, that's what I'm looking for. Is it 3 power or 3 toughness? Yeah, power 3, which is useful. So he's probably going to be milled down now. You know, this is inevitable. No matter what he does, no, that's not going to be helpful for you, mate, because you're going to be milled down. So this is probably going to be game over here. So what we can do is these are going to get 2 each. And then what we then do is then just trigger Sphinx's tutelage again. Doesn't really matter what we get. Toss away the island, because we mill him down twice more, and the entire fat stack is in the graveyard. Look at that, beautiful. So at least we actually managed to successfully win a game with the control deck, which is good. So game over. Awesome, look at that. So we go back up to rank 25, which is good for us. Get 20 gold. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, so that was going to be the end of the episode for now. As always, guys, don't forget to comment and like if you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.